Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand, exploring the person behind the lawyer. Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand and Safir Anand, Senior Partner and Head of Trademarks, Commercial and Contractual IP at Anand & Anand.
Welcome to Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand, a first of its kind initiative that is personally close to me and something that has been on my wish list for a very long time. When I started discussing about this to my colleagues in the legal fraternity, I was overwhelmed to see everyone welcome it with open arms. Soulful Conversations will help the viewers understand the person behind the lawyer. All of you will meet the who's who of the legal world with only one twist, that we won't be discussing anything legal with them today. Then what are we going to talk about? We will talk about what strengthens their core as a person. We will look beyond their professional achievements, their accolades, their awards, their wins, and any other conventional success. We would aim to understand the values and beliefs that make them the true achievers, digging deeper into their persona and exploring their true self. I will encourage my guests to introspect, look within, and speak from their inner voice. I'm really super excited to get on this unique journey of knowing more about these stalwarts. And I'm sure all of you are as excited as I am to uncover what goes into making of an icon. I'm also pleased to share that Bar and Bench, a renowned online platform, has happily come on board as the media partners to the initiative and will also be officially telecasting this partners of Soulful Conversations with Bithika Anand. And now on this soulful note, I am pleased to welcome Safir Anand. Hi Safir, how are you today?
Very good, thank you. How are you?
Great. So I will, just a brief introduction about Safir before we get on with our soulful conversation today. Safir Anand is a senior partner and head of trademarks, commercial and contractual IP at Anand & Anand. He is accredited as one of the top IP attorneys with over 25 years of experience in providing inputs on strategy, business models, marketing, and commercial insights, blended with an astute understanding of IP law that covers IP protection, IP enforcement, IP agreements, licensing, franchising, monetization, and due diligence. I think we have left nothing on the IP side. He does everything in a nutshell. Safir has worked throughout his career to explore facets of monetization, fine-tuned the concept of returns of advertising, created industry-level specializations for the firm, worked with clients' R&D teams for product development, and personally created product prototypes. This is something very, very unique. I don't think so there are many people who are doing this. Recently, he has co-set up a COVID fund for artisans in the country. He's on the advisory board of International Facility Management Association and hold memberships of many national and international forums. He's very, very profound IP advisor, widely recognized for providing ingenious inputs towards business model building, marketing, and commercial insights blended with IP law. Again, very unique. His book, Chrysalis, that covers the inspiring stories of over 70 brands and their journeys, has received thunderous praise from all over the world. He has served as a member of INTA's Presidential Task Force on Brand Evaluation and also been a member of its Commercialization of Brand Committee and its first prestigious Research Advisory Council. He regularly writes on business environment trends and is a columnist and guest editor of ET Now. He also speaks at prestigious national and international forums such as ASSOCHAM, Seminar, INTA, Jaipur Literature Festival, and many more. Safir has won over 50 awards for his contribution to law, some of them prominent ones being Financial Times Innovative Lawyer Legal Era and Business Legal and India Legal Leaders Award. So here we have Safir Anand with all of this behind him. Incredible, Safir, what all you have achieved. And something very, very different and innovative and very unique, because we don't find this with generally in the IP business, or the trademark business or the trademark law, which other firms are practicing. So to begin with this soulful conversation, so I would like you to share with us, some experiences, some incidents, something in your professional and your personal journey, which kind of had an impact on your life or impact on any aspect of your life, not just life, any aspect of your life, anything on from your professional journey or from your personal journey.
There are many. Actually, once I did a very interesting talk for a CEO forum where I referred to some of these examples. It started off, for example, in school, where I used to be a very average student. I used to, be in the mids in the class of 50. And I used to play a lot of cricket. And one day when I was playing cricket, I tried to get another guy to join us in cricket. And I was told by his father, who's also from the legal profession, that, he is not going to waste his time on cricket because he has to study. And I randomly said, but anybody can study, but playing cricket is not so easy because you need a skill. So he said, if it is so easy to study, why don't you improve your marks? So I just came back and I started, working towards my studies, and I did put more time in. And then from a mid-ranking, I all of a sudden in the 9th class stood first. So all of it, even my own cousin, which is Mr. Praveen Anand, was stunned, and he gifted me a computer book. And at that time, computers hadn't come in also. So I didn't know what to do with the book because there was no computer to, practice on. So I learned that time that, if anybody puts a challenge before you, you must accept it and you must do your best. The outcome is not known, but you do your best.
Correct.
Thereafter, I became a better student, obviously, because when you hit one, you don't all of a sudden slip back to the mid level. And when I joined commerce in school, I was doing very well. I obviously got good marks. Therefore, I went to Shriram College of Commerce. And then I lost my father. So when I lost my father, I discovered that, I don't have a career. I haven't decided on law. Law was not that time fascinating. I was just, I had never gone to office, never gone to court, never taken exposure to legal, despite coming from a legal family. Was very fascinated by the environment in my college, which was a business college. And I always felt that I should do something for business. And here I lost my father. And then I went and looked up our bank balances, which were not sufficient. He hadn't left any, significant amount of money. And therefore, I discovered that I wouldn't have the means to do a lot of things that I wanted to do. And that adversity became my opportunity. Because not only did I embrace the legal profession, I made the best of my lack of funds at that point of time and started inculcating the habit of saving, because I discovered that he lived a good life, but he did not save money. And then I discovered I must save money, and that converted me into a good investor. So today I'm regarded as a relatively good investor also. And therefore the adversity created an opportunity. Now, before it created an opportunity, I went to a CA's office and I said, I want to learn investing. And I had only 4,800 rupees to invest. And the CA's office told me to invest in a fertilizer company, which after a few months went down to 13 rupees. And I lost from 4,800, I was left with only 1,300. So I looked at the CA and said, but you guys read balance sheets and you read annual reports and you know everything. Lawyers don't read all this. So how come you guys got it wrong? And they said, if it's so easy, why don't you learn? So I felt that, that's another challenge, and that brought me back into learning about business models and business, getting a little bit of business acumen, etc. So all these things, as an example, created an opportunity for me. When I came to the law firm, I discovered that, we had several stalwarts. And therefore, I felt that I was only, going to be number 9 or 10 in the in whatever I had to do. It was a smaller firm that time. There was Mr. N.K. Anand, there was Mr. Praveen Anand, there was Mr. Hemant Singh, there was Pratibha, there was Mr. Amarjeet Singh, there was Gurvinder, there was Devji, Bini, Sridhar Chitle, so many people around. So I then discovered that in order to succeed, you have to do something different. And I started by going to court. Initial few years I went to court, but then I discovered that there was a huge potential at the trademark office because people were not using case law, particularly international case law. They were not using the Evidence Act. They were not bringing in new solutions to a lot of problems, such as investigations. So I basically felt that there was a great opportunity again there, and therefore I moved towards that area of practice, and then I started innovating. And because I innovated and I started doing things different to other lawyers, it created a demand. I also used to impose self-challenges. Self-challenges means that whenever given a chance, I would tell myself, suppose, for example, one day we had a workload. We were a very small team. I used to be just about 2 or 3 people handling it that time. I used to tell myself that I'll sit in office all night and complete it, but I will not go home till the time I've reached zero backlog. So there was always that hunger within me to sort of, because my mindset used to be not that I have to do it and get an award. I used to always be in the mindset that I want to surprise the client. And therefore, in that endeavor to surprise the client, I wanted to do something more. And whenever an email would come from the client saying that we are, very surprised with the turnaround time, or we are very astonished with what you have accomplished, I used to get a thrill. I remember at one point of time, a due diligence was to be done of an automobile company called Daewoo, and the client was working with another law firm. And they wrote to us saying that that law firm says that your trademark office does not have a system where you can search all brands across all classes. And can you do it? So I went to meet some of the seniors in the firm, and they also said, no, how can you do it? You can only search a specific brand in a specific class. And I said, I'll do it. So they said, how will you do it? I said, you know what, I will stay in office for the next few days, and I will physically go through every single journal and make a note of whatever has come there, and tell the client that I have not accomplished 100% result because I've only seen published marks, but I've accomplished a substantial part of the result. And I did that exercise, and the client was blown over, and they transferred all the files to us. So always in life, there has always been this hunger to look at adversity, to look at opportunity, to look at doing something different, and to be self-serving to the cause of betterment of business.
So basically, what I could make out was it that you never went into just the conventional or the regular way of doing things. You found ways to kind of, value add to the client, which maybe he was not even aware of those kind of things which could kind of value added. So you contributed in that way, which brings you obviously very, very close and, close to the client, and client says, my God, here is also another aspect in our whatever transaction or whatever they're doing in the trademark field, which they never thought of, So that is what, has made you unique and different in your contributions. And also you're wanting to learn, or wanting to know more about the business, like you said, and the financial side of things. I think that really is some of the lawyers are not very, very kind of attuned to this part. Even while they are lawyering, they are, doing law.
Yeah, correct. So right now, for example, if I tell myself that I a few years back told myself I'll get into monetization, and I knew that in intellectual property, because there are no standards of monetization, no prescription of how brands are valued, even the big five struggle. And so I said I will definitely do what the big five struggle with, because there I want to benchmark myself with them, for example. And then I started reading, and therefore that entire task force happened, and I started. So what happened is I started coming also on television to discuss business models, because what would happen is in television you are exposed. In the sense you can make so many mistakes, and people can haul you up, and you can be trolled and many other things. But what happens is that you have to, if you want to do something challenging in life, you cannot be worried, because if you are too worried, then you will always, it's like a child, child is curious, he'll pick up mitti and put it in his mouth, and he discovers that mitti is not something he should eat. Or for example, he'll see something dangerous and he doesn't go close, he touches something hot he gets a feeling, or he touches
Right.
touch, and so there is that curious mind has to be put into use. And if it is put into use in a correct sense, in a constructive sense, then the results can be fascinating. And therefore I have used some of these opportunities or examples in my life to sort of motivate myself. So for example, I'm a voracious reader of books and magazines, and there are certain magazines that I never read. For example, they don't interest me, etc. Like I was never good in history and not so good in geography, etc. So I used to now I told myself I should definitely read those, and I should definitely watch some of those shows on Netflix or Amazon, because what you don't possess, if you start reading and if you develop an interest, it's like when you grow up, there are certain vegetables that you like which you didn't like when you were a child. Your taste
Right.
change and your preference change. Similarly, if you are able to develop interest in reading certain things that you were not good at, it just changes you as a person.
Right.
So I try to now make sure that I read all these books now, and it's benefiting me obviously because it enriches my source of knowledge.
Right. Just a bit more on what really motivates in your life. It doesn't have to be related to work, but otherwise as well. What motivates you? Like a bit of it, you did say at the last conversation towards the end that especially this kind of things that I'm doing motivates me. Is there anything else which is not related to work but otherwise as well motivates you?
Yeah, of course. You have see, first of all, motivation has to come in from self.
Right.
That some people accomplish it by meditation. Some people are very strong-willed. It's like a placebo effect when you go to a hospital and you believe that the nurse is going to treat you more than the doctor just because she's around you, and she's looking after you and she's taking your reading, etc. It's a placebo effect. So in order to motivate yourself, you have to tell yourself that what is it that I like doing. And for example, if you like law, or you like reading, or you like interacting with people, you have to sort of strengthen your those points that you like and start eliminating the ones that you don't like. And when you start doing more of this, you will discover that the likes themselves become self-propelling sources of energy. So you don't get so tired. If you find that reading a book is tiring you, so you'll never be able to read the book. Then you discover other things. For example, if you can't read the book, what do you do? What is it that sort of gets into your mood? So right now, what motivates me is that I carry a report card for myself. And I put that report card out to my team every week. I'm first talking professionally, which none of my lawyers do. I put up a report card every week to my team saying this is what I did in the entire week. And there are some weeks where you'll discover that you don't have enough entries for your report card because that week was odd. You did ordinary work, you didn't do extraordinary work. So when you do ordinary and you don't do extraordinary, you start looking for extraordinary, because then even in ordinary you want to bring in extraordinary. So then by doing that, such as for example, suppose I get a fascinating letter from a client who says that you really thought out of the box, or you come out with a creative solution or something, then in an ordinary situation, you've converted into an extraordinary and you have an entry for your report card. Now, on your personal front also, you create a report card. For example, I have never in my life abused anybody. Never in my life. I've never given a gali to anybody, no matter what. So I consider that to be a plus. But I have I have many bad habits. I lose school. So one of my levels of motivation is, what do I do in order to make myself a better person? So I've accomplished some of that by becoming a better reader, by improving my knowledge, by becoming much more confident, by a lot of public speaking, etc. Which now I'm able to speak. I can go in any forum and speak. But there are a lot of shortcomings that I have to work on. So any improvement in life is a motivation.
So basically, any like you said, any not only improvements, working towards the things which you feel are not that you are not over there, or you feel are negative, and working towards them, and getting over them is motivating for you. And if you can just tell us about a few people, even if it's not few people, one person who has influenced the most, and why.
No, so there are many people in life who can influence you. They can even be strangers. Sometimes you can be sitting at an airport and you can observe somebody and say, this person has handled the situation very well, this person is dressed up very well, this person is taking notes very well. In a flight, sitting with somebody, you can observe and say this person has a hobby which is very good, this person eats in a very controlled way, etc. So motivation requires you to be a good observer. And I'm a good observer to begin with. I give myself plus points for that. But a lot of motivation in life comes from mistakes of others, and those mistakes are captured in books. Or for example, autobiographies carry a lot of incidents of life of people and how they went through their lives and the kind of mistakes they make. Books, there are motivation books like Man's Search for Meaning will tell you about the will to do things. Edward de Bono is one of the guys I really, I've read a lot of books and it brings a lot of motivation on lateral thinking. There are very good modern day thinkers like Nassim Taleb, who will tell you about, a lot of things. Behavioral science is very interesting. Richard Thaler and others write beautiful things. So motivation doesn't have to only come from legal. And then, of course, there's the legal fraternity. I mean, in the sense that is very obvious for somebody who's a lawyer.
If you can tell us about any person or people who have influenced you, in any manner, influenced you personally or professionally.
No, like I'm saying,
has brought a change in you or something that happened that you still remember,
No, like for example, Edward de Bono, in reading his books brought a change in me in terms of thinking laterally, which I never even knew there was a thing called lateral thinking. Similarly, for example, when I read about Nassim Taleb, it told me a lot about the way he thinks about behavioral science, and Richard Thaler. And behavioral science has made me understand, because at the end of the day, if you understand human behavior, you will be a far better advisor. So you understand the behavior of boards and you understand the behavior of humans and what they like and dislike. It makes a difference to you. Then the other people who have motivated you will include people from the legal profession, from within my firm, because, from within my firm, for example, I always I learned a lot from Mr. Safir Anand. He writes a lot of notes. I think the thing that I like most about him is the fact that every time when he starts a matter, he starts with a clean sheet of paper and a pen and starts writing from the start. He says, tell me from the start. He's a fact-driven man, and therefore I've liked that. I've learned a lot from now Justice Pratibha Singh. I have a very fond, sort of interaction with her when she was in our office. I learned a lot from her. She was very detailed. She would go into the details of a lot of things and make it very simple. I've learned a lot from books on simplicity. A lot of people like complexity. They think that if I use language that is complex or write letters that are complex, you will impress people. It's actually simplicity that impresses people.
Correct.
And many people don't like simplicity. So I've learned a lot from that. I learned a lot from TV shows, for example, Britain's Got Talent, etc. Because there you will find people who will come on a platform literally as underdogs, and they will perform before 3 judges, and all of a sudden they will reach a wow moment. And what motivates you then is to believe the fact that there are a huge number of people in this world who will be able to accomplish a lot just because they wanted to do something different. And therefore you will be motivated by them. It's very inspiring. I watch a lot of inspiration videos to motivate myself repeatedly, and therefore everybody in that video is a source of motivation. Children motivate me a lot because your children have a lot of energy, and you can see them whether they're playing a game or they're in school and they're sketching or they're playing with crayons or something. So motivation is in the air. The question is, where do you grasp it from?
Right. So you are saying there are lots and lots of things that influence you or motivates you. They are there out there, and it depends on you how much you get influenced or motivated by them.
Yeah, it's like you see, when you have a down moment in life, it's not that people don't have down moments in life. Everybody has down moments in life. The question is, when you have a down moment in life, if you start visualizing images of better times that you had,
when you feel better.
You feel better. Similarly, for example, there are days when you are very annoyed in office also because you've got too much of pressure of work. Then what do? You just start off and say, in order to solve this, I will take a piece of paper and I will write down all the work I have to do. And then I will create a priority chart, and then I will adhere to it. the moment you create a sense that you are working in an organized manner, you're motivated, because the result is,
and the agitation goes away.
So that's how you motivate yourself. And also you motivate yourself by saying that I want to get better. I tell myself I want to get better and better and better and better. The question is, how do I get better and better? Because by becoming a learner every single day. So the more you learn, the better you will become in life.
Right. So it is like you have nicely said. So it is, everything comes from within you. Whether you are agitated and you want to be fine, whether you are too stressed out and you want to be fine, it just comes from within you. And your own mind, you can apply and see how you can, manage that aspect. Whether you are angry, whether you are down and out, or whatever it is. Very interesting. And what if you were not a lawyer, what would you be?
I would have been a marketing person or a finance person, because I was fascinated by businesses. And in my college days, my dream job was to work for Unilever. And Unilever had come on campus, and I was even selected by Unilever. And I would have probably been somewhere in the world outside India, doing something on the marketing or finance side, or maybe back. But, I'm glad that I'm in India, because I'm a very strong believer in India. And it's not from the legal profession side, it's in the fact that I believe that, at some point of time in life, there is a huge opportunity to do a lot for the nation. And that doing a lot for the nation can, for example, in my case, can even be going to the roots of India, which is like rural India.
Right.
And I'm trying to convert rural India into innovation, because it's not as if humans are not intelligent, it's just that they're not channelized, or they don't have resources, or they have, it's not a priority for them. For example, I discovered that farmers' number one priority is the education of their children. It's even more important for them than anything else in their life. But the farmers themselves are not educated, because when they were growing up, they could not afford it, and school was not a priority, and they had to work. So I want to create a system where they educate themselves while they're in the fields. That could be through an interactive voice mode or some mode. So, there are a lot of ideas in my mind of what I want to do. And at some point, and some of it I've started doing also. And some of it I want to, I want to go and teach with a lot of students. And I want to teach them to have a very large vision in life. Because when you have a very large vision, even if you get it wrong, you would have accomplished a lot. But if your vision is small and you accomplish it, then you haven't accomplished much.
Yeah, correct. So it is like, showing these youngsters that there is a world, a huge world out there, and there's lots over there for you. And very interesting contribution. So this is other than law that you are doing, what we have, like going to the rural areas and taking care of the artisans and all also. These are all areas other than law.
Yeah, right now, for example, I'm working to revive heritage. I feel extremely bad when I travel overseas and I find in London that every single product that you see says by appointment to the Queen. I mean, not every single product, but many products say by appointment to the Queen, and we think they're very high quality products, etc. But a lot of the heritage has been lost. The heritage is in food, the heritage is in forts. Like, for example, today's Economic Times, or one of the papers, carries an article that I think in our Red Fort, we have recreated now augmented reality, and we are taking people back in time to show them how it was during the Mughal era. Now, see, this is beautiful, because India is rich in a lot of these things. We are rich in food. There are foods of India that have not even come out. There are ghar ki recipes. There is traditional craft that is getting lost, artisans that are getting lost. So I want to work to revive some of this, and that's one of my projects that I'm working on these days.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Any hobbies you have? Anything that you do when you go back home? Any activities? Anything that keeps you busy? Other than, of course, hobby. Working, and other than working as a lawyer, and also taking care of, also as you are involved in many other things which are not legal or law related. Anything else that you do?
No, many hobbies. Like, I always tell myself there are many things I do and many things that I want to do. So, for example, I used to play cricket actively till a long time, and now I don't. And it's a regret that I have. I should have continued playing, even if Even today, if I had people of my age and I'd created a group and we had, even if we were playing with a tennis ball, it didn't matter because we would have done something. I would have at least done something that I would have enjoyed doing. Even when I travel, which is also my hobby, I love traveling. I love discovering new places. I love discovering new foods. I'm a big discovery. I search for new foods. New food doesn't necessarily mean only restaurant. I'll go to the restaurant and I want to try dishes that I've not tried. So reading is a big hobby also. Watching movies is a hobby. I'm a very big music fan. I think I have one of the largest music collections that perhaps
anybody could have.
Yeah, because I love the music and I love to curate my own playlist. I don't like to go to Spotify and use their playlist. I like to create mood specific playlists. I like to play the music sometimes even at our office events or things and tell people, impress people by saying that, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and this is what we will play, and it's 7 o'clock and this is what we'll play, and this is on the road that we're driving to, etc. Because it captures the essence. I like to see the reaction of people when they listen to the songs curated in a certain way. So there are lots of hobbies that I have. I love going to malls, by the way. And grocery shopping also I really enjoy because I love observing. It's not that I really like. I don't go there for utilities. When I go to the mall for shopping, I go to the mall and sometimes I do my rounds of walk to observe what are people doing, what kind of shops are they going into, what kind of food are they reacting to. Because I love observing people. It just gives me a lot of insight about a lot of things when I observe people.
Yeah. So it is truly that you are very different, and of course, wonderful, because a lot of people are into their one thing that they do and they keep doing that, and you have kind of experienced so many varied kind of things, whether it is culture, whether it is food, whether it is clothes, whether it is any other aspect of life, music, movies, books. Very interesting, colorful life you have, I must say that. And so a bit on the soulful conversation, does spirituality play a role in your life? Do you if and do you is there some do you find a deeper soulful connect with, what do you find a deeper soulful
No,
connect
I'm
with,
a
if
very
any?
big believer in God to begin with, because for me, God is not a identified God. It is a feeling within you. It's like God resides in your soul, or He resides in your heart, or He resides in whatever form. And I believe that God gives you a lot of guidance. He's like a mentor to you. Like even when you're in pain, if you close your eyes, there is an inner voice that will tell you what to do. Sometimes it's like in the middle of the night, if you're getting a growling stomach pain, sometimes somebody in within you will say that, sit like this, or drink water, or do some walk, or do something, that whatever thing. I think that inner voice is essentially the voice of God. So I'm a big believer in God. But in terms of spirituality, I find it, I have myself found it very difficult to sort of sit in a session where gurus talk, because then they're talking on a limited, like they've decided what they're going to tell you. And I believe that it should be more circumstantial. I'll enjoy the fact that, for example, if I'm unwell, during the time that when I had COVID and I was quarantined and I could not come out of the room, you will find that, that God is basically telling you what you should do. Like, even if you are walking in a room, and which is very small walk, because you
Right.
need to keep, so you're being guided by an inner voice. And that inner, I think that is a very strong belief. And I think God has been very kind, because while I've gone through a lot of adversities in life, right from losing my father early, and that's one of my biggest regrets. I lost my father, I lost my nani. My nani was like, I was a love child, and therefore I feel that when I became a lawyer, I couldn't even go to them and show them that, look, I've become a lawyer, or I've earned something and I want to treat you. So I feel bad about that. But then, this is how life is. So in a sense that it has its yin and yang moments, and then you inspire yourself. So I tell myself that my nani is still alive within me, and my father is still alive, and I can still talk to them, and they will still feel happy. And that's how it is. It's just like putting prasad in front of God. You put prasad in front of God and you believe God will consume it. You put a reward in front of it and say your father and your nani will take it. So Yeah, so spirituality, of course, I believe in. I've also read books on spirituality, not that I have not read. For example, a lot of books written by international authors I've read. I've read some books by Sadhguru also. I've read some books written on. I've read the book on autobiography of a yogi, etc. So these books are also very good because they will bring a balance to your life, particularly in moments where you get too carried away and you don't get too egoistic, or you can sort of think that success can mislead you into believing that you will always succeed. You come back into a sort of a more equilibrium by reading some of these books.
Yeah, true. So a lot of people do believe that, spirituality is also that, all your answers, like you also said, all your answers you get from within. You just have to invoke that, and you will get all your answers, like rather than looking for answers
आप
outside.
एक बात बताओ, अगर अभी आपको पेन है और आपने आंखें बंद कर दी है, वो एग्जांपल, आपको एक कुछ डिफिकल्ट टास्क करना है और आपने आंखें बंद करके ऐसे अपनी मुट्ठी बंद करके अपना कर दिया, तो वेयर इज दैट एनर्जी कमिंग फ्रॉम? दैट फॉर मी इज दैट इज स्पिरिचुअलिटी.
Right, correct, absolutely right. And so anything a bit on, like you have been managing your teams and you've been, in the firm as a senior partner for quite some time now. So any challenges that you face, or anything that you find is easier to kind of manage with the people in your team or otherwise in your office, in terms of either management, or it could be even non-management related?
See, managing a team was far easier when we were smaller because you would interact more. Human interaction is very important for management. When you're smaller, the work pressures are lesser, your traveling is lesser, your client specific matters are easier because the stakes for you, that time the stakes used to be smaller. Now the world stakes are very high. So you would be able to manage. When your teams become very large, the difficulty is that you are dividing the time between a large number of people, and therefore your per unit time comes down, which therefore makes you more focused on the result rather than the person. You'll say this is how the opinion should be, or this is how an agreement should be, rather than teaching a person, which is what we used to do. And there was a time in my office I would come, and we had a classroom in our office, and I would make everybody in my team sit there, and I would pick up a theme or a case or something that has happened, and I would teach them. But now we don't have the time to do this, so it's changed. And in my quest to try and become better, what has happened is that when you become better, you are striving for a different level of perfection vis-a-vis where you were in the past, because you were trying to improve your skills. And then a gap comes because many people, their expectation, they don't know what you're talking about. Like, for example, if I tell somebody who's new that I want to come out with a new solution, he'll say, but I can't do. Whereas your dhoonna is basically by your experience or your reading or something else that you have accumulated in life. So what happens is that at some point of time you will say that, look, this is not the result that I wanted, so I'll do it myself. And that becomes a difficult thing. So I'm also trying to understand how I will bridge this gap. Like, for example, now if I go to a talk, suppose I have to give a talk. If I go and give a talk and I don't have a certain number of people who walk up to me and say it was fascinating, then I feel I've not done enough. Earlier, this didn't matter. Earlier, even when in my earlier years, when I became a lawyer, that is when I started, we used to be nervous about talking. And it was enough that we went and spoke at a forum and got over with it. And it was a thrill that we have spoken at a forum and we will be able to put it on a CV, but there was nothing beyond that. Today, the game is very, very different.
Yeah. Also, so it also depends on the evolution of growth each human being goes through, either because of their circumstances, their experience, their training, or their own effort to evolve themselves to the next level. So sometimes it's not necessary everybody around you is also in that same frame of mind or in the same phase of life or whatever.
You're benchmarking yourself against yourself first. And then you are benchmarking yourself against others. Now that others is not a correct benchmarking, but by default, you start doing that because you believe that you are also a part of that. And therefore, how will you improve yourself? So
Correct.
to improve it, you make it more, you want to go one level higher, and therefore there's a gap that comes in.
Anything on the new generation lawyers? How do you find them now? The lawyers who were 15, 20 years back, are they the same, the way of working, the way they think, their aspiration levels?
No, I'm a very firm believer that the lawyers that are already into the system for many years, 10 years plus, were way better. And, I'm biased towards them because even the legends in our field, there have been so many legends, and many of them have now even written very good books, etc. Everybody knows those names. I find that they were a class apart. Because of the fact that for them law was a devotion, and it was fun, and it was a learning. Whereas I find that a lot of new generation is chasing money. It is only the question of loyalty is very limited. You're in one firm. You say, I find it very crazy that somebody has worked in a firm for 1 year, 2 year, and say that I've learned enough and I'm going somewhere else. I mean, I've tell them the minute 25 saal mein I have not learned enough, and how can you say that I've learned enough? There's nothing is learning enough, because when your brain itself is not used more than 2 to 3%, which is a scientific fact, and you're not able to take up the utility of the brain beyond that, then how can you say I've learned enough? Every time when I go to a bookshop and I pick up a book, I discover how it humbles me on things that I don't know. Every day it comes in my face that there's so many things in life I don't know. There's nothing as learning enough. So I just find that the ability of the new lawyers and what they do is they embrace technology very fast, which is good in a sense and it is bad in a sense. Now, good in a sense because they research online and therefore they'll come up with something. But bad in the sense that when they get a few hits, they don't go to page number 2 and page number 3, and they don't find other things that may also be relevant. Whereas earlier people would pick up books and they would search those books and they would read and they would underline and they would make notes, and I find that was far more beneficial, because even when I meet a modern day lawyer who's, for example, worked even in my own firm, and I tell them, please tell me about the matter, they say, okay, we will go and study the file. So I tell them, yeah, memory se kuch batao, and they say hame kuch yaad nahi hai. Whereas if you go to some of the veteran lawyers, they will tell you every single case they've done, they were able, because they enjoyed the process. They were into the process. They were not,
Yeah, you're right. So it was not about just doing it as a job to make money. It is about gaining knowledge, enjoying that fact of gaining knowledge, and a learning aspect was more important.
Absolutely.
That is why they remember their incidents and whatever case laws they do.
So I love the fact that even today, when I find somebody's got a pocket diary and they take it out and they take out a pencil and they write, even when I see this on a flight, I compliment those people and say, you are the kind of people who inspire me.
Yeah, correct. I think to-do lists, which I personally feel are so important. It's now a rarity. People think they can retain everything in their mind, which they can't, so it's important. Okay, now to just kind of sort of end it on a very happy note. So we want to ask you what makes you happy, or any incident that you want to share with us, which was hilarious, comical anecdote, which you still remember and you still laugh about it, or you smile when you think about it.
No, see, a lot of things make me happy. For example, when I discover something new, it makes me happy. When I do something new, it makes me happy. When I eat some new food, it makes me happy. When I'm able to play music and you smile, it makes me happy. When I go to a place and I find I talk to strangers. See, I find talking to strangers is very interesting, because today we are not in the world of earlier time when people were exchanging courtesies the way people do. It's a very big thing today if somebody even says hello to you, or opens a door for you. These things are gone. So it's happy. Like for example, if you talk to somebody and that person starts talking to you nicely, then you discover human values. That happiness is inner happiness, which is much more important than artificial happiness. Artificial happiness is when you're trying to react to a joke that somebody told you and you laugh, but after a few minutes, you're over with it. Whereas inner happiness is when you're able to feel, what a nice person I met. If somebody tells me, and I have a very big fan following, I must tell you, that now when I go to airports and I go to other places, malls and all, a lot of people come and say, want to take a selfie with you. So, and some of these are law students and some of these are investment guys. So I feel very happy because I feel when I come to care. So I that time don't only tell them that, please take a selfie. I say, let's talk, because when I talk to them for 2 minutes, I say that is the real exchange of humanity. Real exchange of humanity is not taking a picture and putting it on an Instagram and having likes. So happiness is, I find that when old couples are sharing food, I'm just giving an example. I don't even know them. For example, it's very happy for me. I feel very happy that they're sitting in a place and they're sharing food, and they're caring for each other. So happiness is all around. The question is, what do you find it? It's the fact that we're not looking in the right places. We are looking in the wrong places. I'm looking at a movie to make me happy. That happiness is not going to last because I will never be able to correlate to it. But when I look at happiness in humanity, I will find in real humans, and I will find a lot of reasons to believe in it.
Yeah, so nice, Safir, to really. I mean, I'm sure some of these things you may not have, said it openly, but to know you as a person behind a lawyer, I think today we did come to know that who that person is, innovative, colorful, caring, wanting to know new things, is the person we have discovered today. And thank you so much for being with us. It was absolutely delightful and privileged to have you with us.
Thank you so much for having me over, and it's an honor that you decided to interact with me.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much.